some sort of national or demographic average. It's very personal to them. That particular drive, their car, their behavior. Uh, the second was relational frame theory, which states that understanding is promoted by framing events relationally, that is, in context of each other. So this influenced the choice to place feedback in metric screen adjacent to each other, so the user is able to make direct comparisons between these and use gallons of gas as a base comparator. People are very aware of how much gas they're using. It's a very common metric. It's easily understandable. People do usually keep track of how much gas they're using because of monetary reasons. So using this as a base comparator allows them to have a concrete sort of point of comparison to a more abstract concept like kilograms of carbon that we end up using. So connecting the abstract with the concrete would hopefully make carbon emissions a much more real impact for them. The three feedback parameters are gallons of gasoline, kilograms of carbon dioxide emitted, which is a scientific standard, which is still very vague for people. So we're placing that in context of gasoline. And a metric called tree sequestered, also used by the Environmental Protection Agency. It specifically refers to the number of trees that are needed to use up this many kilos of carbon. So it has a much more emotional impact for users, and also correlates their behavior to something that has a real impact on, that they can see. They're very aware of trees. So metric screen presents all of these. They're differentiated by icons so that they're more instantly understandable and they don't get cluttered up with text on screen. Some of the challenges arose from this particular system that I ended up using between mobile phone and the transmitter. The platform was an Android platform chosen because it's got very good support for Bluetooth. And as you can see, the choice of parameter that we're using, sometimes we want to ask for what is the fuel level in the tank. This gives us back a response in terms of 3 data bytes. However, the other metric that we used to calculate fuel levels used was mass airflow. Sorry, you can't see. This gives back a response in terms of 4 bytes. So there is a wide inconsistency here in what type of data that we're getting back and what format is it going to be in when we get it. And this also varies hugely by manufacturer. This was another challenge that I talked about in a couple of slides. That the implementation of this feedback system on the vehicle side is left entirely to manufacturer discretion, which kind of leads to discrepancies about makes and models, and sometimes even by year of vehicle, they can give back different types of data. This is a sum of the messages, the data that we requested from the engine. We have fuel level and mass airflow to calculate gas, and speed and RPM to use for secondary calculations to back up these figures. And this kind of specifies, the formulas at the end specify the conversions we have to go through depending on what type of format the feedback comes back in. This was an interesting problem because these are 2 real cars that I ended up using in the beta testing process, in the 2007 Toyota Camry and 2010 Volkswagen Jetta. And both of these are really new cars, very recent, but the manufacturers implement data very differently in each of these. So the Camry would only give back mass airflow. If you tried to request fuel levels, as in like what is the fuel level as a percentage of the tank right now, it would just give back no data. So the app had to be designed to accommodate engines which would give back sometimes one parameter, not the other, vice versa. Some would give both, some would give none. So it had to kind of be flexible to accommodate the different types of cars. The goal was to have an app that would work in as many cars as possible. So trying to build in a little bit of flexibility to handle feedback response in 4 bytes versus 3 bytes, and not have the app crash. Oh wait, I was expecting something else. And that's it.
What did you do if it gave back none? If it didn't give you one?
If it gave back no data, that's when we had to fall back on speed and distance estimations and do kind of secondary, more ballpark kind of calculation. What ended up happening was I created a diagnostic app that was just simply to communicate, basic communication with the engine to ascertain what protocol, what data protocol this engine supports, what data it's giving back, is it giving back data at all? And based on this, the user was given a particular version of the app. The functionality remained constant, just the handling of the data coming in from the car was more specialized. Also used regular expressions to kind of read the data coming back from the car. And this way the app would expect a particular format and know how to parse it very clearly. So it's able to differentiate between a 3-byte data packet and a 4-byte data packet and move it to the appropriate portion of code to kind of handle that part. It also helped because to kind of read and differentiate between what is clean and readable data and what is not. Because what often happened was kind of 4 different types of errors were quite consistent. You'd have inconsistencies, missing data bytes. Sometimes you send back one but not the other. You have garbled data coming back, a bunch of nonsense bytes first, and then the actual data itself, and just random repetitions. One byte would just be repeated 2 or 3 times before another one came along. Some engines were very good at giving back data very cleanly. Some of them were not. Some of them had very consistent problems. So it was necessary to build in a kind of error handling system into the app where we could differentiate what is bad data, what's a good one that we're getting, and deal with and base our conversion calculations on the good data. After the app worked perfectly on the simulator, it had to go out into real life. So the beta testing process actually ran for about 4 months with 26 UC Davis affiliated users, with 23 students, 1 faculty member, 2 staff members here at UC Davis. And they were required to drive regularly, that is, at least 25 to 30 drives over a period of a minimum of 4 weeks. Some of them extended their period to 8 weeks. The average was, however, a 4-week usage of time. And the total came out to be 593 drives. The data collected for that is in the database. And these users were given surveys before and after using the app. I asked them, what is your perception of 1 gallon of gas and its impact on the environment? What is your perception of your personal carbon footprint? These same questions were asked at the end of their usage period. And the answers before and after are very interesting. You can kind of see the evolution of their perception of what is their driving behavior. In the beginning, there's a lot of vagueness. They're not sure what their impact is. They often give back responses in terms of, well, I know it's bad for the environment because climate change, ozone degradation, global warming, etc. It's very, very vague. The sense of scale is not personal at all. It's basically media language that they learn from news and from articles, scientific articles. Their behavior, their impact is not yet very personal or concrete at all. And in the post-survey, I was starting to see people making very quantified, giving very quantified responses. They're starting to compare their behavior across time, and they're starting to put their driving in terms of very specific, in terms of carbon emissions. So their idea of what was once very abstract is starting to become more personal and more concrete. Another example here, one user says, I couldn't really give an accurate description of my energy usage or carbon footprint because there's nothing that measures how much I use. And they're able, at the end of the usage period, they're able to state that visually seeing the carbon impact helped them realize that this does add up over time. So the perception of carbon emissions as something on a global scale, something very vague, has become much more personal and applicable to them. And even when the effect is still a little bit vague, they're not quite able to grasp it, their terms of comparison have shifted to what is my impact directly in terms of these metrics that I've seen here. three trends in particular stood out in the surveys. Statements that showed that people were driving less, that they were altering their driving behavior, they're able to find alternative sources of transport, and even if they weren't changing their behavior directly, it did influence their future decision making in terms of energy efficient vehicles and devices. And this survey system and the beta testing process was actually published in an HCII conference, co-authored with Angela, who is our behavioral science researcher. And so in the end, we're able to say that abstract concepts, vague language, turned into something much more concrete in terms of numbers and temporal comparisons as well, an evolving perception of the driving impact. They were able to make this concept very personal and leads to self-evaluation and some being self-motivated behavior change. And in conclusion, this system tapped into self-realization. Presenting feedback to the user tapped into self-realization and self-initiated change by creating a system that's usable in any car at any time. They're able to carry this. They just need the phone to carry from from car to car, and they're able to get feedback that's personal. It doesn't become vehicle-specific data; it becomes personal data. So they're able to have feedback that's specific to them in any situation, and establish the feedback parameters which have a measurable impact that are consistent and impactful, and therefore able to kind of prove that the versatility of the mobile platform in accessing systems that are previously completely abstracted away from the user and bringing it to the user himself, and kind of finding that point of intersection of different fields of engineering, software, design, behavioral science, and using the software to bridge these fields and create a system that can span all of these. And perhaps this can have implications in the future where we're able to use our devices to connect with any intelligent device, any intelligent home or car or a wearable, and we're able to make that data personal instead of device specific. And so this wraps up the presentation, and I would like to thank Nina for her support. It would not have been possible to create a system like this without her support and the resources she offered. For Glenda, invaluable help in design and helping to conceptualize an app like this on your phone. And also to the Synergy research team, Dahlia in particular, and Angela, and Suhaila, who helped with creating and bringing the system into and making it real, and also for publishing our results as well. Any questions?
Lights?
It seems that like one of these two bottom.
There we go.
Access to the diagnostic network